You gonna do music? Oh. We'll have to edit that part out. Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined today with a whole group of people, and we're so excited that you're with us today. So joining me this morning is, and he hates it when I do this, but I do it every time, is the president and CEO of USA Cares, Mr. Trace Chester. Good morning, Trace.
Good morning, Matt.
I love bugging you.
I do hate that.
I know you do.
I'm the parking lot attendant.
Never. We are also joined by Miss Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Hi, everybody.
And good morning to Alexis's mom, Char Taylor in Atlanta, Georgia. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for listening again.
Good morning.
And also joining us this morning is Colleen Balderson. Good morning, Colleen.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And Stephen DeMuth.
Good job.
Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Yay!
Good job. Thanks for having us.
I've mispronounced it a few times now, so I'm trying.
Well, I've been called a lot worse. So.
So we've got a full studio this morning, and we're excited about it. We've got some really good stuff to cover. But I do want to take a minute before we kind of get going to recognize a few people, Trace. And we've got, we have spent a lot of time talking about USA Cares and how quickly we're growing, and especially these new chapters that are popping up all over the country.
Well, and there was another one this morning. Somebody reached out to me from Charleston, South Carolina.
I like Charleston.
I do too. I like Folly Beach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good spot. That's a good spot. I want to say a special good morning to Mr. Chris Cruz, who is now our executive director of our Kentucky chapter. Good morning, Chris. And good morning to Mike Arnold, who is the executive director in Detroit, Michigan. So
there you go.
They just keep coming. And they just keep popping up all over the country. We're just excited. We've got another new chapter in Phoenix, Arizona. So they just keep coming in. If you are someone who has a passion to help veterans, if you are somebody who really wants to reach out, get involved, look for a chapter near you and get involved. Join that chapter. And if you are in an area where there isn't a chapter, let's get one started. Contact us today. Allison Hedges is working very, very hard on getting these chapters started. And just go to our website, usacares.org, and click on the chapters tab and get involved today.
Hey, did you mention Kevin out of Fort Campbell?
No. Talk about Kevin.
Well, no, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Maybe it's a secret and you don't want anyone to know.
I wasn't going to put him on the hook yet, but you just did. No, that's okay. So Kevin Miracle, who is right outside of Fort Campbell, is somebody who has gone out of his way to really help as many veterans as he can. And he is very, very excited to get a new chapter going at Fort Campbell.
Yep. And
so a place you know well.
I spent a lot of time at Fort Campbell.
Yeah, they beat you up there a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm sure you had it coming.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved my time there.
So it's a good spot.
It is.
So all this to say, we are working hard to build chapters, not so that we can become a big powerhouse nonprofit, but because we want to help as many veterans as possible.
The outreach part. And
we are doing our part to make a difference. And, Trace, you talk a lot about reducing factors. Mm-hmm. Reducing factors. Talk about that for a minute. What are we trying to do overall?
So veterans, a lot of times when they're still in the military, they get out and they have this idea of who they are, what they're doing. Everything's okay for the most part. But then when they transition out, it's very different. And a lot of times they lose their sense of purpose. They lose their identity in a sense, kind of, I hate to say that because it's not everybody. It's some more than others, but I did it. I struggle with it.
Yep.
Because I had a lot of great jobs in the military. Had a great time. 98% of my time was great. 2% was in Iraq. So, so otherwise it was great. But then when you get out, you feel very alone. You feel kind of isolated. And now on top of everything else with COVID, guess what we're telling everybody to do?
Mm-hmm.
Stay
at home by yourself.
Yeah. Social distance.
It's a good plan.
So it's really tough on people as far as mental health. But that's the number one thing that we've recognized over the past couple of years at USA Cares is we do the housing assistance. We help them get their utilities turned on. We help them get food. But really go back and think about the major factors that can contribute to veteran suicide. Loss of home, loss of job, loss of sense of purpose. They lose their family members because they have to send them off because they're homeless.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. And these chapters are going to help us with more outreach and more people know about what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I had a chance to join you at Fort Knox last week. A real eye opener for me as somebody who's not a veteran to meet some people who are going through this transition and to kind of hear their side of it and hear how difficult it can be. And part of the reason we're having this podcast today is to help focus on even one factor of that transition. Focusing on some of the tools that are available to vets that a lot of them don't even know or don't understand, or a lot of times it just gets too complicated and they said, you know what, screw this, I'm not going to do it because it's just too hard, it's too much paperwork. So, and that's part of the reason our guests are with us today. And so Colleen Balderson is with the English Law Group, and Stephen DeMuth is with Republic Bank, and they've both taken on this initiative called VAREP. And Colleen, would you give us a sense of what VAREP is?
Sure. So VAREP started 10 years ago, and it is the acronym stands for Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. So basically, it's anybody in the real estate industry or anyone else who wants to be. We work to try to get veteran housing, whether it be to help out with veteran homelessness or to help educate realtors, lenders, and the veterans on what a VA loan is. Because the VA loan is an amazing benefit that veterans have earned. And I think that there's just a ton of misconceptions about how easy it is to get it, how appraisals, there's all these different things. Some loan officers don't even give the option to veterans. And some realtors are like, oh, you don't want to do that. So we try to dispel myths by doing classes, and we're trying, I'm sure we'll talk about it in a little bit, but we're trying to get the status of a VSO so that we can get in front of more veterans to let them know what an amazing benefit this is, and hopefully, promote more home ownership.
So I don't understand, and this is a new world to me, but I don't understand if a veteran has this tool available and they're working with somebody, why would that realtor be reluctant to offer VA as an option, Stephen?
Yeah, so as someone who used to be a realtor prior to getting into loans, there's a ton of misconceptions out there about the VA home loan. People think that the appraisal is a nightmare. They think that it's a long, drawn-out process. And that may have been true 20, 30 years ago. It's just not true today. But we have people who've been in the business for so long now that they still carry those misconceptions. And then there's the water cooler talk. You're new to the business and you look up to somebody and they say, oh, that VA loan, that's difficult. So one thing that we really pride ourselves on is educating, especially trying to get in front of these new realtors and loan officers and even title agents to say, hey, it's not what you think it used to be, and get in front of them. I think in our kind of pre-chat that we had, one of my favorite things to do is when I hear somebody say, oh, we're not going to take a VA loan, I love to call that realtor and say, well, why? And start dispelling those myths. They say, oh, the appraisal's hard. No, it's not. We talked about it. My three favorite words are safe, sound, and sanitary.
Right.
Why wouldn't we want somebody to get a VA appraisal to ensure that the house is safe, sound, and sanitary? So, just getting ahead of those curves and trying to educate those people that may have those misconceptions is, at least for me, it's a very big passion of mine, because Colleen said a word that is like a point word for me, and they've earned this right. They served our country. They earned it. There's no reason we should be turning them away from that.
Right.
And 99 times out of 100, the VA loan is the best option out there.
So let's say I'm a veteran. I'm not, but let's say, okay, Trace, you're a veteran. Let's say Trace is learning more about this program. He's got a realtor who's a friend of his. He talks to him about this VA program, and they're like, yeah, it's you're probably not going to qualify for that. And what do they do? Like, what could a veteran do if their realtor is saying, no, this probably isn't the best way to go?
I would definitely say talk to someone else. Get a second opinion.
Get a second opinion,
Because, the VA in and of itself doesn't set many rules around the home loan process. A lot of those rules are what we call overlays, and certain lenders set their own sets of overlays. My company has a set of overlays that might be different than the next loan company. So understanding that and understanding what the minimum requirements are, which is what we try and do, is educate what is the VA's requirement. The VA doesn't have a credit score requirement. So sometimes you'll hear, oh, to get that VA loan, you got to have a 640 credit score. That's not necessarily true. That's probably an overlay for that particular lender. So you should probably go talk to someone else. They might be able to do it to 580.
Yeah.
So just know that there are resources out there, and that's one thing that we come in, and you guys should come in handy with, is being able to point people to the right direction to say, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. Let me put you in touch with a professional.
Right.
And that's what we're here for.
And Colleen, that education piece is so important to us. Trace, you work hard on the education piece from all facets of transition. But if somebody wants to learn more about what this process is and how to do it properly, what would they do?
So the best place really to go is a loan officer, and hopefully a loan officer like Stephen that knows, about the VA loan. One of the best things about the VA loan is that it's 0% down with no mortgage insurance.
Wow.
Usually when you have that, you've got to either pay higher interest rates or this monthly premium for this private mortgage insurance, and VA loans don't have that. So it does allow veterans to get into a house with basically just covering closing costs, which is amazing. One of the things that's been one of the initiatives for VAREP is we have been instrumental in changing the residential loan application. It used to be that it made it a lot longer, but it used to be that a loan officer didn't even have to ask anybody if they were military or former military.
Wow.
And now that's one of the questions. So I think that the thought on that would be that it would spark the conversation. So, I would say most lenders that's the best source. VAREP has we have a website, varep.net, and you can find some information on there. There is a lot of information out there, but I would say the loan officer is the best place to go. And if you have a loan officer that's not going to give you the time of day about that, then
maybe
find
they're not
another
the right one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'll say, at least we're seeing, especially as we get out and do more of this education, there are by far more good loan officers out there who want to help the veteran community. There's, just takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch. But, there's a lot of them out there, and we're constantly being asked to come, hey, can you come do a class at this real estate officer? Can you come do one at this loan office even? Yeah. And then we instruct classes, and it's a real big pillar of what we do. And it's just one of them, but that education piece is huge for us in making that impact into the community.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that VAREP, as we have requirements of things we need to do as a chapter, and we have to meet a certain goal of outreach and lunch and learns and different things like that. So if you're listening somewhere else in the U.S., there's local chapters all over the place. If you are a real estate professional in the U.S. and there's not one in your location, just like you were saying about USA Cares, you can create one, and that's really the best way is to get. There's a lot to the whole loan process, not just VA loans, just the whole loan process in general. And I think that it's scary if you've never done it, and you need to find someone that will hold your hand and really walk that through.
So this is an interesting thing, and I hear a common theme with a lot of veterans who are transitioning out. Tracy, you may be able to speak to this too, but the sense of loneliness, the sense of I'm doing this all by myself. I've been surrounded by all these people, right? And now all of a sudden I'm just out there. One day I get my paper and my thank you very much, and I'm just out the door, right?
Well, I think that's in itself, that is a misconception on a lot of veterans' parts, but that's a reality. That is very real, that you feel suddenly when you're out, you're like, who can I trust? Because you were so accustomed to everything in the military just being, I hate to say black and white, but I mean, it pretty much was. If you were, going to get assistance, through JAG for some legal issue, you never questioned it. You never thought, oh, are they trying to take advantage of me? And you never thought of things like that. And even the young service members off base or off post, and they have these car lots that maybe are not completely above board. The military would look into it, and then they'd put out a list and say, this organization outside of post, you shouldn't go there. And so there was a lot of oversight, and you trusted things more, and then suddenly now you get out. Here I am. I'm going to buy a house, and it's just like you said.
But
I trust.
there's a lot of great organizations, and we're partial to USA Cares because
Yeah.
that's where we work. But there's so many other good organizations, and then you get a group like VA Rep who
Yep.
who's willing to kind of hold somebody's hand and walk them through the process and help them understand this is good for you.
Yep.
This is a good thing. Don't let other people tell you that it isn't.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, so the chapters piece is a big deal is for VA reps. So definitely check out the website and learn more about it. What are some other things people should know about this process?
The one thing Trace actually hit on was those car lots right outside the dealership, or right outside the post or the base.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry, we're gonna have to edit that out.
No.
But
It's okay.
those car lots right outside the base or the fort. One thing that we really pride ourselves on is we're a HUD-approved credit counseling
Yes.
agency, and we promote financial literacy, sustainable home ownership. So we try to get to these young privates, young soldiers, young seamen, right when they get there, and try and, if we can, have an impact to say, don't go buy a car at 24% interest. It is
Exactly.
not
Right.
a wise decision.
Exactly.
I know you just got this money, or I know you just got back from deployment and you got money burning a hole in your pocket. Let's talk about how to use that, wisely,
Right.
type thing. So, any veteran out there that needs credit counseling, we offer that free of charge. Give us a call. If you're a veteran, we're going to help you. You got to do the work, but we're going to tell you what you got to do. We have a whole department, not Colleen and I specifically, but we have folks at National who that's what they do. They're HUD approved to do that type of thing. So that's big, because you might not be ready to buy a house today,
Right.
but we're going to help you to get to a point to buy a house. If that's a goal of yours, we're going to help you get there. So
Absolutely. And that offers some of that stability that so many veterans are looking for, to be able to own their own home, to be able to take pride in their own home, and provide a good place for their family. So it's a huge thing that's available. So good stuff.
No, it is. I mean, my son is a veteran, and he just bought a house this past year, VA loan. I've bought a few homes. We've kind of grown as a family, and we've moved up in homes, and I've used VA loan every time.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the misconceptions is that you can only use it once.
No,
Right.
I thought you could only use it once.
Yeah.
no.
Really?
Well, you can't take out 5 VA loans. I mean,
Well, you don't need
can't take
5
out
houses.
multiple, but
Yeah.
I mean, like if I have one here and then I sell this house and I go to buy another one, I've kind of cleared that one in a sense.
Okay. So one at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And that's actually kind of a misconception there too.
Yeah.
You can have more than one VA loan at a
What?
time.
Wow.
However,
see, you've been
I'm
running
gonna
around
go
with
buy
one
another
house,
house.
Trace. You could have had 2.
I say that
Your wife's going to be like, you live in that one, and I'll live in this one.
right.
Yeah.
Now I will say there's a couple caveats to that. The one that you're buying now has to be your primary residence.
Oh, okay.
So that is
Gotcha.
a catch to the VA
Yeah.
loan. It has
Yeah.
to be used for your primary residence. But there's nothing to say you were stationed at Fort Campbell.
Yeah.
You bought a house with your VA loan and you got out and you moved to Louisville. Now you can keep that house in Fort Campbell and buy a new home here. There are some catches to it, like
Right.
limits on how much. You may have to put a little bit of money down because you can't do 100% financing on it once you hit certain thresholds. But that's again a misconception, which I'm glad you brought up.
Yeah.
'Cause it's something that we can leverage to be able to say, hey, you can still do this.
Could somebody, this is probably a bad question to ask, put you on the spot, but can somebody buy a house as a rental property on this? No. Okay.
Well,
No,
you
but
can buy
a
yeah.
fourplex
Okay.
or a duplex because those are still considered single family.
Okay.
So
You
So
live
you
in
could
one of the
live in
units.
one and rent out the other 3.
correct.
Because it's your primary residence.
Right. Now
I've done
we
a
are
bunch
on
of closings on those.
That's
yeah.
a good way to live rent free.
Well, and if my son hears this, guess what he's going to go do? Because he's always looking for something like that.
Well, there you go. You want to talk to him for a minute right here on the podcast? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll call it. No.
Let's get him on the phone.
And so we just got to be careful with it, but there's ways to, create a sound investment for the future.
Yeah.
That if we can just have the opportunity to get in front of them. Now, in this real estate environment, finding a duplex or a fourplex, good luck, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Right.
So Alexis, we're kind of abandoning you here. We haven't have you join in the conversation, but I know you introduced me to this process through Stephen and Colleen. What was it that jumped out to you about this?
Well, Colleen and I are friends. Their husbands play softball together, and so we've kids play together. We just happened to be talking at the pool one day, and I saw her post something about their gala, and it was right before we had ours, and we were talking. Oh, we got a gala going on too. And I really didn't know that you were involved in VAREP. So and I was new to USA Cares. Why don't we collaborate on something? There's a lot of things that we do that are similar, and I think that. We've had a guest on before that says, you can't do everything by yourself. All these organizations are out here doing similar things. It's very siloed. It amplifies the message, because the common goal is to eliminate the factors that contribute to fear of suicide and just make people stressed out. If we're all here doing our own things, we can just do more things together and amplify that message. So that's I'm just thinking. We should have him on. We should talk about this because my husband is a mortgage processing manager for a big lender, and he's been a mortgage originator. And he talks about VA loans and talks about all these things, but it goes straight over my head. I listen, I can hear all those buzzwords, and I'm like, I've heard that before. But I don't.
And I think that's a good point, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand it, so I'm going to move on. You don't have to understand it. You just need to make friends with somebody who does.
That's true.
Right?
That's life.
That's
you got to know
life.
who to ask the questions
That's
to.
right. Don't be the expert. Just hang out with the expert. So.
Right. And you all do have a gala coming up in September, right? It's coming up soon.
Yes, we have a gala. It's at the Ali Center, and Veteran Jazz Booth is going to be our speaker. It's on September 24th from 5:30 till whenever it ends.
10
Till it's
Yeah, so it's a Friday night, so hopefully it'll be a really good time, and we are always looking for donations and silent auction items and all that kind of stuff. So we luckily have already sold all our tables.
Way to
so
go.
yeah, so we're pretty
Nice.
excited about that, and now we're just looking for donations. So yeah.
It's going to be a good time. This will be our third gala. And like she said, we got Jazz Booth, a retired Army officer. She's got an incredible story. We've been on multiple phone calls with her, and just the energy you feel when you're fired up when you hang up with her.
That's cool.
And she was homeless, so
Yeah.
her story has to do a lot with housing as well.
Yeah.
So
And I'm almost certain that she was one of our guest speakers or keynote speakers
Yes,
at one of our
actually,
galas.
that's where we got her. It was
2019.
Beth Creaky used to be on our
Yep.
board. Beth was at that gala and was like, she came to me because I helped plan our gala. I've looped Colleen in, and she's like, hey, we've got to call this.
Yeah, Jazz
this
is great.
That's awesome.
place.
So,
So
if somebody wants to learn more about your gala, how would they learn more about it?
probably reach out to Colleen or I.
Okay.
Send us an email. I believe you guys are going to share our information. But yeah, shoot us an email or give us a call, and
Nice.
we're happy to walk you through what that looks like.
And VA Rep Louisville chapter has a Facebook page too, so you can send us
Perfect.
a message through there.
Perfect. That's good. Trace, there was something I want to make sure I mention is the certified military housing program that we have through USA Cares. Would you take a minute and talk about that? I'll make sure we don't leave that out.
Well, that was something that was started several years ago, and it was by loan officers, realtors, different people across the country. And they were like, well, you want us to help veterans, but we don't understand how.
Right.
And this is just like that basic 101, what's an LES, leave earning statement. That's their pay stub in a sense.
Okay.
Has a lot of so it's like it's a mini course that helps people to better understand what is it that the veteran will have
Right.
to help in the process. So if you're a loan officer or somebody realtor that wants to learn more on that side, so you feel more comfortable talking to a veteran because maybe you don't have any experience, that's a course we offer.
That's awesome.
We were asked to put it together. We put it together. A lot of people go online and take it.
And they can see a map of where all those individuals are by going to usacares.org and click on that certified military housing page, and you can learn a lot more about that for sure.
That's great.
So, yeah.
And another level of, we've been talking about the VA loan. There's also, sometimes people aren't ready for taking on a mortgage.
Yeah.
They're not ready for home ownership, and maybe they will be after some credit counseling, and maybe they just won't, because sometimes that's just not for everybody. One of the unique things that Louisville Metro's just done is that they have recognized veterans as one of the protected classes for housing. So landlords cannot discriminate against veterans, which I was kind of blown away
That's
that
wild.
was even an issue.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
so you have race, gender, religious, family, familial status, and then now veterans as well. So I think that that's huge, and hopefully across the nation that'll be something that other individually everything will adopt, or maybe federally. But just the fact that we have to do that is just shocking to me. So if you're out there and you are looking for an apartment and you're getting turned down, either because, of another thing you can't discriminate against is how you get paid. So if you're getting benefits or disability or something and somebody says, oh no, we're not going to take that as factoring in your wages and whatnot, you reach out to us, because you can't do that in Louisville. It has not been adopted around us anywhere else, but across the nation there are pockets of places where that's the case. So don't let somebody tell you that they won't rent to you for that reason.
So there are situations where people are being rejected because they'll say veterans learn the term debt to income ratio. Learn that.
DTI.
So are there situations where people are getting rejected because they say they're 100% disabled?
I think, if they're, and that kind of overlays, I'm getting the lawyer hat on over here, but that would be, you could say that you are discriminating against a disability, but you can't use a certain type of income to discriminate. So, when you start putting the disability word in there, which is what a veteran, would have for that, you get another level of an overlay, which is a federal protection, but just the status of being a veteran, if they say, where have you been living? And you name a base, and they're like, oh, well, we're not gonna, we had this other veteran and blah blah blah.
Right.
You can't use that in Jefferson County. Now you go to Oldham. I don't know. I talked to somebody at some different organizations, and they said they saw that once and they haven't seen it since. So hopefully it's not, and all he does is place veterans into housing. So hopefully that's not as big of an issue. But the fact that it is, something's out there, or else they wouldn't even need to do it.
So, and that plays into another arm of what we do at VAREP is we do a lot of political work. We try to keep it bipartisan. We always, pick these issues. So one of them that we've gone to Capitol Hill and promoted is having veterans added as a protected class under the federal fair housing law. We've gone to D.C. We go every year.
I'm amazed that hasn't happened before now.
Yeah.
Like, why is that it's
we're gaining some traction.
2021.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of lawyers out there. I'm just amazed that it hasn't happened.
I will say we're gaining some traction. It's been a focal point. We switched this year a little bit different to try and make that chartered VSO happen. But we still have, legislators out there. And as local municipalities like Jefferson County across the country start to adopt this, it gives us, proof of concept. We could say, listen, and we've done it. As soon as Jefferson County made it, part of our ordinances, we sent it up the national chain and said, hey, look, we did it locally. And then our national folks took it to, senators, congressmen, and women, and said, hey, listen, Louisville's doing it. They're on to something. And, trying to leverage what we're doing here locally, which is pretty cool to be a part of a city that's one of those first adopters, and using it to leverage them to do what we want. It sounds like we've got, and I'm not on our legislative arm. We have a different director for that.
Right.
But, it sounds like we're making some progress on that, which is pretty cool.
Well, and it's something that veterans can probably reach out to their legislators and say, hey, this is something that we need to look at. This is something that you need to consider.
Well, and I think they need to hear it from us, because I can tell you, I've gone to D.C. and sat down with these senators, and you explain it to them, and they kind of like you said, well, why not? And I think it's just not, it's something that we think to ourselves, I would never discriminate against a veteran.
Right.
So they think that it doesn't happen, but as we at VAREP have heard around the country, and as you guys are starting to stand up chapters, you're going to probably start hearing about it too. There are parts of the country that will straight put on the MLS, will not accept a VA loan. And on the surface, you might think, okay, they don't want to take a VA loan. But that's discriminating. You're taking a whole class of people and saying they cannot use a benefit that they've earned. And we look at that as unacceptable. You shouldn't be able to do that. There's no reason to do that. Like we kind of touched on the beginning, the VA loan is not more difficult. We can provide statistics that say, okay, the appraisal might take an extra day. Are we really not willing to wait a day to put a veteran in a home? Use a benefit that they earned?
Yeah.
If that's the case, we probably need to have deeper conversations.
Right.
the appraisal's more difficult. No, it's not. Again, we want it safe, sound, and sanitary. So this
and if
comes back to that education.
If you're taking out a loan for 15 or 30 years, let's do our homework, right? Let's dig in. Let's spend another day,
exactly.
And make sure we get it right.
Well, and it goes back to all they're looking for is those minimum property requirements. Does it have all of the things necessary to live and live safely?
Yeah.
I just struggle with the people who say, I don't want to do that.
Right.
What do you mean? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and for veterans listening, I hope that you're hearing that, and I hope you look for those red flags. And if somebody's saying, no, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do this, ask some questions. Reach out to another veteran. Say, have you ever heard this? I don't know about this, but start looking for somebody who can really answer these questions. And VA Rep is a great place to start.
Yeah.
And what Stephen was talking about with the MLS, that stands for the Multiple Listing Service. So that's where the realtors are going to go to look for houses that are listed. And in the notes, some of the realtors are putting will not accept VA loans. So if you're listing your house, you are really, don't discriminate against those loans because the loans aren't veterans. So, so you can say we don't want to take certain types of loans, but really in this market, it's an amazing market. Open yourself up to everyone and see who has the best offer. Don't pigeonhole yourself to say, we're not going to take this because you're listening to an agent that doesn't have the right information and is like, oh, it'll be a nightmare. So if you're out there and you're listing your house, don't listen to somebody that says don't take a VA loan or a government-backed loan, because it's just not the right information.
Or the realtor. Go ahead. I was just say the realtor sometimes will say the house won't go VA. Yeah. So again, I love to call and ask the question, what about it won't go VA? And sometimes they'll say, oh, well, it's got some chipped paint. Okay, well, let's scrape that paint and paint it real quick. Is that the only thing?
Right.
It's missing a handrail. That's a relatively easy fix. And to that point, anybody can pay for those repairs. So, the veteran can pay to have that handrail added. The realtor can pay. Or, you as a seller can put that handrail in for relatively inexpensive. So to Colleen's point, don't pigeonhole yourself and don't say, this can't happen. Let's talk about it. And, that's what we aim to be, as a resource and answer some of these questions for you guys. So
I had a question that we talked about, you don't have to put any money down and there are less fees on average. And see, I think I know the answer, but I don't really. But
I don't know where you're going with this.
So interest rates. Is the VA loan competitive as far as interest rates?
Absolutely. It's typically even a little bit lower than, what a conventional rate will be. One thing that we hear, yes, it's got an interest rate that's lower, but then some people bring up, well, what about that funding fee? And the funding fee can add significantly to the loan. It's typically 2.3% for somebody who's never used a VA loan before, or 3.6% of the loan amount added to the loan. However, if you have a disability rating, then we can go ahead and waive that funding fee for you. So we're seeing a lot of veterans come out of service now who have a disability rating, and so then that funding fee doesn't become a portion of that, and you get the better rate, nothing down, no mortgage insurance. We can go on and on with the benefits of why you should do this.
So what percentage rating, or do you know?
So it's my understanding, and I'm not a veteran, you may have a better, that it's when you get VA disability compensation, which starts at 10%, is my understanding.
Okay, so if you're 10% or greater.
Right, and there is a little bit of, we kind of go a little bit back and forth, because some people have said you can have a no rating and still be considered disabled. I don't know how that works. Again, as a non-veteran, I don't understand. But if you have, and basically when we pull your certificate of eligibility or your COE, you might hear somebody ask for, it tells us right on there if you have service-connected disability. If it's on there, we can waive your funding fee for you.
Well, I can tell you the mass majority of veterans will have a disability. Because if nothing else, hearing loss.
Yeah.
Hearing loss, that constant ringing, tinnitus. That's 10%.
Yeah.
And there's very few people, and it may not all be from explosions and things like that. It may be they were a truck driver.
Right.
And so they have some type of hearing damage. So if you're a veteran, you have that. You need to ask those questions.
And it is a sensitive subject, but Purple Heart recipients who are, because you can't have, and again, you can feel free to correct me, if you're active duty, you can't have a disability rating. But if you have a Purple Heart, you will have one when you get out.
Correct.
So that Purple Heart, if you have one, and it creates a little bit of an awkward conversation to sit around the table and say, you got a Purple Heart? You know? But we try to ask it in a polite way.
Yeah.
Because if you have a Purple Heart, as part of the Navy Blue Water Act that VAREP was instrumental in having implemented, we can now waive that funding fee. So there were a lot of active duty. I know quite a few guys that when this law got implemented, I called them and said, hey, now's the time. You can waive that funding fee that you've been avoiding. So
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Big deal there.
Yeah. Wow. So if you're listening, again, we do this podcast for the veterans. We do this for the people who have served our country, and this is our way of giving back. And VAREP is a great way to do that. So definitely take advantage. Check out their website, varep.net. I'm just looking at some of their statistics right now. They have 32 chapters in 18 states. So chances are there is a group near you. So definitely reach out. Colleen, Stephen, what are some other things that veterans need to know about this process? What else do you want to make sure you mention today?
I mean, really, I just want them to know that, to Trace's point, when you get out of the service, or even when you're in the service, we're here for you. I myself am not a veteran. I have just a deep passion, much like you, for helping the veteran population. We all have our whys behind that. So we're here for you. You're not alone. If you have questions, there are no dumb questions. Please reach out to us. I'd rather answer what you feel is a dumb question to make sure that you have the information you need so that you can move forward and make an informed and educated decision. And then one thing that we try to do is, we're housing. We try and stay in that housing sort of, I always say, stay in your lane. So we stay in our lane, but we like to partner with folks like, USA Cares and other organizations out there, because we don't do everything. But I want to know what you guys do, so that if you come to me with maybe it's a housing concern, I say, well, that's not really housing. Maybe I need to get you over to these folks, and then I have a connection. I don't need to know how to do everything. I just need to be the source of the source, so I can point you in the right direction. So please, I just say, don't feel like you're alone. Please reach out. We're here for you. USA Cares is here for you. There are plenty of organizations out there, so give us a call. Reach out. Let us know what you need so that we can either help you or point you in the right direction.
And if you're a real estate professional, lender, title company, attorney, loan officer, get involved. Get involved with VAREP. Open up a chapter if there's not one. There's 50 states, so we need one in every state, and if not in every city. And if you're sitting and talking to another real estate professional and you hear them bashing the VA loan, have them give us a call. You give us a call. We'd be happy to go and teach you guys what you're misguided on, because I think it's just some bad information. I think that most people have good intentions and they just want to get their clients to the closing table, as we all do. But we need to make sure that we protect veterans and really promote that benefit that they have earned, like I said in the beginning.
Exactly. So if you want us to come teach, or even one of our local chapters outside of the Louisville area, again, to Colleen's point, reach out. We'd love to come do a lunch and learn with you. We love to partner with you. Yeah, we're all stronger together, so let's do it. So,
well, and that's fantastic. And this is. Oh, go ahead, Alexis.
I would just say I love this podcast. It's about network building. You just finding resources and building that network is always so important.
Absolutely. And that's why we do it, right? It's just this is one more tool that the veterans have to uncover ways that they can move on with their life after serving our country. So thank you both, Colleen and Stephen, for all you do. I think it's such a valuable resource. I hope people do take advantage of it. We're going to share your contact information so they can reach out. Like we mentioned before, check out varep.net and learn more about what all is available out there. If you want to learn more about USA Cares, go to usacares.org. We are on just about every social media platform, from Facebook to LinkedIn to Instagram to Twitter, and on and on and on. So we are so glad that you're joining us again on this podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make this a part of your weekly routine and listen to what's going on in the veteran community. If you are a veteran, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you are doing, and just know that we're all here to help you. So until next time, thank you all so much, and we look forward to joining you next week on another episode of the USA Cares podcast.